Good evening. The city's begun the process of clearing an encampment in Dufferin Grove Park.
City staff have been working with those in the park to help them clear the site. Trespass notices have been issued. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live tonight in the park with where things stand at this hour. Beth.
Michelle and Nathan, negotiations between the people in the park and city staff are still continuing tonight. You can see the yellow tape behind me. There are some tents there, and we're told those will be cleared because some people took a deal yesterday. But so far today, no one is being forcibly removed. For some, Dufferin Grove Park has been home for a year. But on Friday, the city handed out trespass notices, instructing the tents to come down by Tuesday morning. Now it's raising concerns the encampments could be cleared out.
I am happy to see no police today, but that could change at a moment's notice, so things are fragile. We always want our representatives available.
Security guards and city staff are stationed around the park as various discussions unfold. The city says there were 56 people living here in February, a number that's down to 7. A spokesperson says there is no plan to forcibly remove the people who remain at this time, as progress is being made to offer shelter and supports.
So we're optimistic that more will accept the services and that we'll continue that work to work with them closely one-on-one.
Several in the encampments, though, are skeptical and not ready to leave. While shelter space is available, they want their own permanent place to live, not another hotel room or bed.
Most of us have been traumatized in the actual shelter system. Our request is very simple. If the city actually wants to have a conversation with us, we need one-bedroom apartments.
Unfortunately, many people have taken these Streets to Homes, MDOT, and the other providers of temporary housing, and all it does is bring them into a limited situation, and they end up right back here.
Neighborhood residents have been concerned about the encampments.
A relief that it's gonna be gone, because I think it was a security concern for the neighborhood and the community, but at the same time I feel very bad because I don't know what's gonna happen to them.
The city says trespass enforcement can begin in 2 situations. 1, if there is an immediate emergency, public health or safety risk, and 2, if outreach is unsuccessful and people in the park keep denying referrals or to meaningfully work on a housing plan. The city says since February, 9 people that were here do have housing, but the city spokesperson told me today that that's not always possible immediately because of a need for a housing plan. And it's important to have that housing plan to meet each individual's needs. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Also tonight, a near-miss head-on crash after a car barrels down the 401 in Milton, going the wrong way. The shocking video later in the newscast.
But first, the forecast. And look at this, beautiful conditions this hour. We've had them all week, and if you think it is nice and warm, well, it is about to get even warmer. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at what we're working with. Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, tomorrow looks to be the peak of the heat in what has already been a pretty hot week overall. We've been basking in sunshine and above seasonal temperatures. Right now, it is 25 degrees in Toronto. Feels like 27. It feels like 28 in the Hamilton area, as well as Muskoka. A gorgeous day overall with loads of sunshine. Winds are starting to change direction. We're tapping into a southeast wind right now. It's a nice light breeze. A little bit of extra cloud cover today in eastern sections of Ontario, but still loads of sunshine. And through the evening hours tonight, we're going to see that sunset at about 7:25 tonight. Then it's clear skies. Tomorrow, we are talking highs in the upper 20s. Feeling into the 30s. A noticeable cool down comes for the weekend, though. We'll show you how much of a change you should start planning for. That's ahead in your weather forecast. For now, Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Emergency crews responded to a fire in Scarborough late this afternoon. The CTV News chopper got a look at the scene near Markham and Eglinton. Just before 5 p.m., Toronto Fire says it responded to reports of a blaze in a warehouse with smoke and flames coming from the roof. Crews were able to contain the fire to the back of the unit. No injuries have been reported. Police advise avoiding the area because of road closures.
A pedestrian was struck and killed in the downtown core early this morning, and the circumstances are raising questions. It happened near Sherbourne and Shooter around 12:30 a.m. Police believe a man in his 20s was lying on the road when he was hit by a vehicle driven by a man in his 40s.
Emergency services attended the scene of this collision and administered life-saving measures. However, very unfortunately, the victim succumbed to his injuries and he was pronounced deceased at the scene. I can tell you that the driver did remain on scene and he is cooperating with the investigators.
Police haven't confirmed why the man was lying on the road. They're asking witnesses or anyone who might have dash camera footage to contact them.
And police are investigating after a stabbing at Finch West Station last night. Toronto police say a male victim was found stabbed in the bus bay area of the station just before 10. He was rushed to hospital with serious injuries, but is expected to survive. No word on any possible suspects.
Looking north of the city, investigators are searching for two suspects wanted in connection with a suspected arson in Vaughan. York Regional Police say just before 1:30 yesterday morning, officers responded to a fire in a commercial plaza near Centre Street and Dufferin. Two suspects can be seen smashing a glass door and using an accelerant to start the flames. The building was unoccupied and there were no injuries. Witnesses or anyone who might have information are asked to call police, or you can make an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers.
And still in York Region, dramatic video of a series of home invasions. The first happening last month, the latest happening just yesterday when police spotted 5 people trying to enter a home in Toronto. Now, 3 of those people are in custody and facing charges. CTV's Janice Golding has the details.
York Regional Police have arrested a trio of men following an investigation dubbed Project Timer, an investigation launched following a series of what police are calling brazen home invasions. In this first incident captured on surveillance video, you can see a group approaching a home on Timber Creek Boulevard near Major Mackenzie Drive west in Vaughan. And then you see them smash through a glass panel on the side of the front door to break in, as the home's occupants scream in fear, telling them to leave.
They used actually the front of the gun, the barrel, to essentially break through that pane of glass.
The men would eventually flee to a black SUV with nothing in their hands.
Unknown what they were after at this point.
And then again at 2:20 a.m. on September 10th, a group of men break into another home on Timber Creek Boulevard, smashing through a pane of glass beside the main door with a large axe. But then they appear to flee to a waiting black SUV, once again empty-handed.
In that case as well, they were unsuccessful. But again, you can imagine being woken up to such a chaotic and scary incident where people are coming into your house armed with weapons.
And then today, this time near Yorkley and Scarlett Road in Toronto, 5 people were seen leaving the suspect vehicle.
And we're preparing to do a home invasion, but fortunately the investigators were able to intervene. 3 suspects were arrested at the scene and 2 fled.
A loaded firearm was located in the home's backyard, and the suspect vehicle, which was stolen, was also seized. 22-year-old Zachary Boyce of no fixed address, 21-year-old Jaquai Montague from Toronto, and 22-year-old Jaquel Watson from Ajax are facing numerous firearms-related charges. Police adding Montague and Boyce were on previous release orders in connection with unrelated incidents. The investigation continues. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Provincial police say a 21-year-old man is facing charges after a dangerous wrong-way driving incident on Highway 401 in Milton. OPP sharing this footage from a vehicle driving westbound near James Snow Parkway at around 6 p.m. September 7th. Suddenly, a vehicle appears in the center lane driving in the opposite direction. The driver of the sedan loses control, begins to swerve, and narrowly avoids a head-on collision with the driver who captured this video. Police say the incident could easily have turned fatal.
Well, the driver was going, again, high rates of speed, weaving through traffic, sideswiped several vehicles before he actually lost control and went into a concrete light standard abutment on the highway. At that point, he fled the scene. Callers at the scene reported his direction of travel. Mississauga OPP were able to locate that driver a short distance away, take him into custody.
The driver faces charges including dangerous driving and leaving the scene of an accident. The OPP are looking into whether impairment was a factor in this case. Ontario's Financial Accountability Office released its Economic and Budget Outlook report today. It is providing insight into what could be coming down the track for the province's finances.
CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris breaks down the report.
Presenting the provincial budget this spring, the Minister of Finance trying to put a positive spin on an uncertain financial future.
We want to reduce our deficits to zero. We have a path to balance.
A new number crunch from Ontario's Financial Accountability Officer is much darker.
We don't see a balanced budget over the 5-year outlook that we're presenting here.
The budget watchdog says that's because of less money coming in, with a slowing economy rattled by tariffs and higher spending, especially in healthcare.
The FAO projects that the budget balance will deteriorate from an estimated deficit of $1.3 billion last year to a deficit of $12 billion in this fiscal year.
A spokesperson for Peter Bethlen-Falvey says in part that the spring budget highlighted a clear path to balance for 2027-28 as the government works to protect the economy and make Ontario the most competitive place to do business in the G7. But the FAO says things have changed. The $200 million surplus the government projected for 2027-28 will look more like a $10 billion deficit.
To achieve that $10 billion gap, it's either revenue measures or spending changes.
The Liberals now call the 2025 budget fiction.
It's not worth the paper it's written on.
The FAO is forecasting an explosion in the province's debt, rising steadily by tens of billions of dollars a year, an extra $141 billion in 6 years, hitting a whopping $549 billion in 2029-2030. The amount of money being paid on interest on that debt alarming to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation.
That is money that is being taken away from key government programs and is going toward just bondholders on Bay Street.
There's also worry about slowing GDP growth and higher unemployment.
We need a serious plan to invest in jobs and protect the jobs we've got, especially in key sectors like manufacturing, agriculture, and residential.
The caveat with these numbers is they were based on policies in early August. That is before Canada pulled back on tariffs on U.S. imports. So with an ever-changing trade picture, these numbers could change too. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
From Queen's Park to City Hall next, where a coalition of community groups rallied today protesting what they call mismanagement at City Hall.
The residents alleging a crisis of leadership on a host of taxpayer-funded files.
We pay our taxes. We're paying record-breaking taxes. We want a good-looking city. We want a clean city.
The residents say they have concerns about the direction of the city when it comes to shelters, bus lanes, bike lanes, and more, saying quality of life in Toronto has deteriorated under Mayor Olivia Chow's administration.
The city is doing what they believe is right for everyone instead of listening to what people are actually asking for.
I think it's ideological. I think that's part of it, and it's refusal.
It's not about left or right. It's about what works, and it's about building communities and being about balance and listening to concerns from residents.
The mayor's office says Chow's focused on building more affordable housing, fixing the aging TTC, and addressing crime by hiring more police officers and investing in youth. Well, Canadians haven't seen a bank rate cut since March, nor seen it this low in years.
The Bank of Canada eased its trend-setting interest rate to 2.5% today. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecoutel with the reasoning behind the rate cut.
With global economic growth showing signs of slowing, Tiff Macklem says much of the uncertainty is because of the trade war with the U.S.
Tariffs are weakening the Canadian economy.
Canada's central banker couldn't be more blunt. As exports dropped by 27% in the second quarter of this year and inflation rose by 1.9%, Tiff Macklem and his team decided it was best to lower interest rates.
Canadians remain concerned about the cost of living, and our primary mandate is to maintain low, stable inflation, and we are very focused on that.
Canada's GDP declined by 1.6% in the second quarter, and some forecasts have the rest of the year looking flat, leading some economists to use the R word.
The term is technical recession, where there's two negative quarters. Well, certainly we're pretty well there. The third quarter, it's going to be flat at best.
The central bank disagrees, predicting modest growth in the second half of the year. But Macklem says that could change depending on what comes from the U.S.
Where there's a significant escalation of tariffs, U.S. tariffs, in that scenario, the Canadian economy does go into recession.
The effects of the trade war are also being felt in the U.S., where job gains have slowed and inflation ticked up. It's why the U.S. Federal Reserve recommended cutting its interest rate by 25 basis points on Wednesday. And while the decisions in each country are made independently, it does provide some perspective.
You know, we talk about we got a big deficit of debt. Well, theirs is way bigger than ours are.
The Bank of Canada's next rate decision is in October, but it's unclear if there will be another cut then. With the federal budget expected November 4th, Macklem could wait to see the scope of government spending before cutting the interest rate again. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And still ahead, a boost for house buying plans or a drop in the bucket. Torontonians weigh in on the rate cut and what it means for them.
The United States is taking the first official step toward renegotiating its trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. America's trade representative will begin 45 days of public consultations prior to a mandated review of the trade deal next year. There will also be a public hearing in November. The Prime Minister is looking to change some aspects of the deal, pointing to exemptions in trade law that allowed the U.S. to impose sectoral tariffs on Canada. Mexico has started a public consultation process to gather information on the trade agreement. It has so far shielded Canada and Mexico from the full impact of American tariffs.
Meanwhile, Mark Carney will travel to Mexico tomorrow. The Prime Minister's office says he will meet with Mexico's president. They're scheduled to talk about security, infrastructure, investment, energy, and trade. The visit is intended to enhance ties with Canada's key trading partner.
3 more senior ministers in former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet are reportedly set to receive diplomatic appointments. CTV News has learned former Defense Minister Bill Blair will likely become the High Commissioner to the UK. Former Justice Minister David Lametti will be Ambassador to the United Nations. And former Energy Minister Jonathan Wilkinson has been offered Ambassador to the European Union. This follows the announcement yesterday that Chrystia Freeland will be Canada's new special representative to Ukraine.
In the UK, Donald Trump is being hosted by King Charles at Windsor Castle.
The UK is pulling out all the stops for the U.S. president, who is known to be a fan of the royals. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbin reports.
Talk about a royal charm offensive. The U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania arrived to a spectacular welcome, greeted by Prince William and Princess Catherine, and then King Charles and Queen Camilla. Pulling out all the stops designed to dazzle the U.S. president, who's a great admirer of the late Queen and royal family. There was a massive military performance, a fly pass with the red arrows. But all of this is happening inside these castle walls where security is very tight, and avoiding the large number of anti-Trump protesters here and in London. Today's pomp is a rare honor for this president. It's meant to strengthen ties between the U.S. and the UK, the so-called special relationship, and it's recognition that the U.S. president has craved. The British government hopes this will smooth over some thorny issues when Prime Minister Keir Starmer meets with Trump over tariffs. The government hopes to ink new trade and technology deals. And there's also the issue of support for Ukraine. While King Charles is politically neutral, he may delicately raise the issue with the president, capping the day with a lavish banquet fit for the president and hosted by the king. Today, the pageantry, tomorrow, the politics. All of this happening in just 48 hours. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Windsor.
Coming up, from excruciating movements to full mobility, how a new form of minimally invasive therapy is helping restore function in people's joints, and in some cases, reversing degeneration.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, many shoppers are trying to buy Canadian to support Canadian farmers and producers. But there's a new term called maple washing. It's when stores say a product is Canadian when it isn't. A class action lawsuit has been filed. I'll have my reports. That's just ahead.
Well, part of the reason it's been so dry, sunny, and warm here in southern Ontario is the positioning of the jet stream. See how it looks like an omega? This is technically a blocking pattern, the high not allowing these lows to make their way into the lower Great Lakes. Things do change somewhat tomorrow. We've got a cold front on the way. It could bring us a quick passing shower. It's certainly going to cool us down somewhat as we head into the weekend. We'll detail what you need to know coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Following trade tensions with the U.S., many shoppers are going out of their way to buy Canadian products, even if the prices are slightly higher.
But some major grocery stores are being accused of maple washing, meaning they're claiming some products are Canadian when they're not. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Viewers have been sending us examples of products that are being sold as Canadian when they come from other countries. And last week, a law firm in Montreal filed a class action lawsuit alleging some grocers are using false advertising to deceive customers. You see them all over grocery store aisles and shelves, maple leaves, made in Canada labels, or signage urging you to buy Canadian. Dave, a Toronto shopper who asked us to hide his identity as he searches for misleading advertising, just noticed two questionable products.
We saw that a bag of onions were mislabeled and the green beans were also mislabeled.
Dave found green beans for sale marked as a product of Canada, but on closer inspection on the bag it says product of Guatemala. In another case, he saw a bag of red onions for sale, also sold as a product of Canada. Not the case. On the bag it says product of Egypt.
We've seen many cases where the maple leaf was used to inflate prices, and frankly, a lot of products were labeled in a way that it was actually quite misleading.
Following complaints, a Quebec law firm has filed a class action lawsuit against major grocery chains, including Provigo, Sobeys, Metro, and Walmart.
This is actually false representation or false advertising.
Lawyer Joey Zucron says grocers are using false advertising to take advantage of consumers who want to support Canadian products.
The only conclusion is that it's to make profit and it's to take advantage of vulnerable consumers who are at a disadvantage vis-a-vis the information that the grocer has.
The class action seeks compensation for customers. Sylvain Charlebois says earlier in the year there was labeling confusion and adjustments required time, but he says by now mislabeling should be considered unacceptable.
There's just zero tolerance for this now.
Dave says he plans to keep looking for maple washing errors because he wants to support Canadian producers.
We personally want to support these local Canadian farmers. I want to make sure that the product I'm getting is actually from Canada.
The class action has been filed, but has not yet been authorized in court. And stores may also use language like prepared in Canada or packaged in Canada, but that doesn't make it a Canadian product. Grocers who intentionally try to mislead customers could face fines of up to $15,000 per offense. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, summer's still going strong. It feels like midsummer, another beautiful day. This run continues.
The run of sun and warmth, I think it really is. I noticed a lot of people, even around the office here, are just making a point to spend some time outside. We need to enjoy this. And it's amazing that tomorrow it gets even warmer.
It does. And I overheard a couple of people in our newsroom today saying, I love this weather. I almost miss the crisp feeling of early fall. Well, that's coming. We know that. Things will change eventually. I suggest that we hang on to this as long as we can. We are going to have a hot day tomorrow. And then, yeah, it's probably going to feel a little more like early fall as we move into the weekend. But then for the first day of fall, I think it's going to feel like summer again. Here's what it looked like a little earlier today. It may not be the dog days of summer anymore, technically, but it does feel like it. These four-legged friends were out at a park in Oshawa today. It's a group that gathers together at Harmony Valley Park, and they go for walks every day. I think they've been enjoying the weather as of late. So, too, have our friends in Northern Ontario. I want to point out the fact that today Timmins has been the hot spot of Ontario, just starting to cool down as far as the core temperature is concerned. 24 degrees right now, but they were close to 30 earlier this afternoon, and it still feels like 31 there in Sault Ste. Marie. It feels like 30 in Windsor, Ontario as well. Still feels like 27 this hour in many parts of the GTA. Our seasonal norm is 20 degrees. We have been well above that and will be again for tomorrow. As mentioned, our forecast daytime high for tomorrow is going to be about 27 degrees, feeling closer to 32. Overnight tonight, we are looking at a low of 14 degrees under clear skies. These aren't record-breaking temperatures, but certainly warmer than normal. Mix of sun and cloud for tomorrow. In addition to that heat and humidity, a 30% chance of showers, which we will show you in just a moment. And winds are going to start to change direction, so that could contribute to our eventual cool down. But tomorrow, 28 degrees for you in Guelph, 29 in St. Thomas, 27 in Welland, 28 degrees tomorrow in Aurora. It's going to be a hot one, not just around the Golden Horseshoe, but in Trenton, 27 degrees for you and 23 in the Huntsville area. So temperature-wise, the pattern does change for Friday, even more so into Saturday. But it does look like some heat is going to return for early next week. More on that in just a moment. We did have a little bit of cloud cover today in eastern sections of Ontario. This is really high cloud, so it didn't impact, it didn't really dull the sky all that much. Here's tomorrow. So there's around 4:30, 5 o'clock, chance of a quick passing shower. It's not that soaking rain that I think some growers and farmers would appreciate. And it's going to leave just as quickly as it comes. A little bit of cloud into your Friday morning, but by the afternoon, we are back into sunshine. And even though Saturday is going to be a little bit cooler, we're talking teen temperatures pretty much everywhere in southern Ontario. We do enjoy a mix of sun and cloud through the weekend, back up around 24 degrees for Sunday. We welcome fall officially on Monday with a high of 25 degrees, remaining above seasonal right through the middle part of next week. Chance of showers for Monday, and for Tuesday, we do need some wet weather. That's your look at the forecast for now. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, what the latest Bank of Canada interest rate cut means for tomorrow's housing market and your mortgage. We break down the numbers a little later in the newscast.
A new minimally invasive form of therapy is promising to stop the decline and in some cases even reverse the degeneration in people's joints.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan explains, it takes components from fatty tissues and injects them back where they're needed.
It was a cycling accident that badly fractured Alex Sadowski's left ankle. He had 2 surgeries, rehab, and was supposed to be healed, but chronic pain had set in.
Everybody started telling me, oh, you should have relief, things should be fine, go work out, go on a walk, do these things. And within 20 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on the activity, I would be gassed out and in pain.
Then last year, he was referred to Dr. Adrian Lee and tried a new treatment called regenerative matrix therapy.
And the concept is we're taking a patient's own fat tissue and injecting it into an area where there's needed because of damage in order to restore function, improve mobility.
It's a bit like platelet-rich plasma therapy, but much more directed. Fatty tissue from the abdomen is processed for an hour, and Dr. Lee says they're not exactly sure which components in the tissue are the ones that work to prevent cartilage degeneration, but they work.
Many different things. We have endothelial cells, fibroblasts, mesenchymal stem cells, and many other types of cells, and growth factors and extracellular matrix that we use.
The treatment can be used on shoulders, ankles, hips, and especially on knees.
The best candidates for regenerative matrix therapy tend to be patients who have moderate osteoarthritis, but are otherwise active and want to stay active.
At one time, these movements would have been excruciating for Alex. Now he has full mobility in his ankle.
100% is tough to gauge after being in chronic pain for so long, but I will definitely say I've never felt this level of freedom since before the accident.
The procedure is not covered by OHIP and can cost several $1,000s per injection. Only one shot is needed, and the effects have lasted up to 4 years in some cases. Right now, there are 3 clinics in Ontario performing regenerative matrix therapy and 1 more opening soon in Calgary. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Well, fall is just around the corner next week, and that means the return of respiratory virus season, as cases of the common cold, flu, and COVID are expected to tick up. RSV also remains a risk, with potentially serious consequences for vulnerable populations. The province is expanding eligibility for various shots that protect people from the virus. Dr. Alan Grill, Chief of Family Medicine at Markham Stouffville Hospital, spoke with CP24 about who's eligible to get the shot for free under OHIP.
The nice news, and for anybody out there that's over 75 years old, this is big news, it is now covered for those individuals. It's free. So all they have to do is go to their primary care provider, family doctor, nurse practitioner, and we can give it to them. It's going to probably roll out around October, right before the season starts. If you're age 60 to 74, it's also covered if you live in a long-term care facility or retirement home, immunocompromised, if you're experiencing homelessness, or you identify as First Nations, Inuit, Métis, you're also covered.
The vaccine is also available for other adults 60 and up who choose to pay out of pocket. The province also covers RSV immunization for infants up to 8 months of age entering their first RSV season, and high-risk children up to 2 years old.
The province is once again expanding the scope of practice for a number of health professionals. Health Minister Sylvia Jones says the changes will reduce wait times and pressure on the healthcare system by allowing more providers to work to the full extent of their training and expertise. Among the proposals, optometrists would gain the authority to perform minor surgical procedures under local anesthesia, and certain psychologists would be able to prescribe medications like antidepressants. The province would also expand the list of conditions pharmacists can treat and the tests and vaccines they can administer. The Ontario Medical Association has previously pushed back on increasing the number of ailments pharmacists can address, pointing to the specialized training doctors receive.
An upcoming documentary is promising a candid look at the final days of music legend Ozzy Osbourne.
If my life's coming to an end, I really can't complain. I had a great life.
Had a brilliant career, and it ended in a brilliant way.
Paramount Plus revealed the trailer for Ozzy No Escape From Now. It's a feature-length film that's been produced in collaboration with the Osbourne family. The singer died in July, not long after a special farewell concert. In the doc, Ozzy opens up about years of health challenges, including the effects of Parkinson's disease. It also features interviews with his wife Sharon and children Amy, Kelly, and Jack. It streams starting October 7th.
It's taken so long to get to this point. I'm not going to let it slip through my fingers again.
Also today, Netflix released the first trailer for Victoria Beckham. It's a docu-series about the former Spice Girl. It follows Posh Spice as she navigates life after pop stardom and as she works to establish herself in her new chosen field, the fashion industry. Victoria Beckham debuts October 9th.
The Canadian Screen Awards have announced a major change in their eligibility rules for next year. The awards recognize the country's top talent in the film, television, and digital sectors. Today, the Academy of Canadian Cinema and Television announced that as of its 2026 awards, nominees will only be eligible if they hold Canadian citizenship or permanent residency. Screen Actors Union ACTRA welcomed the move at what it calls a time when Canada's cultural sovereignty is under pressure. The Academy tells CTV News it took the step in consultation with the creative community, adding, "This change reflects our ongoing commitment to recognizing and uplifting Canadian talent, ensuring that the Canadian Screen Awards continue to shine a much-deserved spotlight on our incredibly talented creators." After the break, as the boys of summer look ahead to October baseball, the Maple Leafs prepare to hit the ice for the start of the regular season. Sports is next.
I am happy to see no police today, but that could change at a moment's notice, so things are fragile.
Updating our top stories, the city has begun the process of clearing an encampment in Dufferin Grove Park. Trespass notices were handed out Friday, instructing those in the park to remove their tents by yesterday. Today, city staff were on site speaking with those who remain and working to offer them shelter and supports. The city says 56 people were living in the park last February. That number is now down to 7.
The driver was going again, high rates of speed, weaving through traffic, sideswiped several vehicles.
Dramatic video from the OPP of a driver going the wrong way on the 401 in Milton. It happened earlier this month near James Snow Parkway. The dash cam video shows a car driving in the center lane in the wrong direction. Police say this could have easily turned fatal. The driver faces charges including dangerous driving and leaving the scene of an accident. OPP are also looking into whether impairment was a factor in this case.
Canadians remain concerned about the cost of living, and our primary mandate is to maintain low, stable inflation, and we are very focused on that.
And the Bank of Canada has lowered its key interest rate for the first time since March. It was reduced by 25 basis points to 2.5% in an attempt to stimulate a weakened economy. The central bank predicts modest growth in the second half of this year, but admits that could change depending on actions taken by the U.S.
And remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The interest rate reduction may be good news for people with variable mortgages.
But some Torontonians worry it may not be enough amid the cost of living crisis. CTV's Rahim Ladani has more.
Daniel Yonezawa is saving to buy a house, so today's interest rate cut by the Bank of Canada is a big boost for him and his soon-to-be wife.
If things are lower, the interest and that kind of stuff, we might be able to kind of like afford somewhere even like closer to the cities.
A 25 basis point reduction is also good news for homeowners with a variable mortgage. It means more money in their pocket or paying off their principal quicker. However, those like Ange feel like there's a broader affordability crisis.
How much it costs to feed yourself and move around and live in your home. So yes, it helps. It's just sort of a drop in the bucket of what's going on, I think.
The ongoing trade dispute between Canada and the United States continues to fuel uncertainty for businesses trying to deal with tariffs and consumers who are bearing some of the added costs. Whether it's grocery prices or financing a vehicle, the Bank of Canada's governor says he doesn't want Canadians to have to worry about big increases in the cost of living. In order to achieve that, financial advisors believe more cuts are needed.
We're seeing our economy completely coming to a slowdown, and I think it's all hands on deck. We're going to need to see more interest rate cuts, I believe, in the future.
And until that happens, some people are planning to stay on the sidelines.
I don't want to go house poor, and you never know when the rates will change again. So right now, it's kind of, fluctuating up and down. I'm hoping it's just a market correction.
Open to the possibility of home ownership in the future. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Meanwhile, drivers are in for a big drop at the pumps as stations switch over to the cheaper gasoline blend used during the colder months. Dan McTagg, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, says much of the province will see a 10-cent drop tomorrow. He says gas stations are required to use the summer blend from mid-April through to mid-September. So there are price savings when this change happens. The summer blend contains more alkylate, which is pricier but boosts efficiency and reduces emissions. The winter blend uses more butane, which is cheaper and helps engines start in colder temps.
The union representing WestJet flight attendants says it plans to start talks over a new collective agreement before the current one expires December 31st. CUPE says members are seeking better treatment and compensation for what it says is unpaid work while the planes are on the ground. The airline says it's looking forward to engaging at the table to reach an agreement. Earlier this month, Air Canada flight attendants rejected their employer's latest wage offer in a vote after striking in August over similar concerns.
One of the co-founders of the Ben & Jerry's ice cream brand has resigned, claiming parent company Unilever is stifling the brand's ability to express its views. Jerry Greenfield wrote in a letter, the independence they once had to speak about social issues had been stifled. He said the merger deal he and co-founder Ben Cohen had reached with Unilever in 2000 enshrined its social mission and values at Ben & Jerry's. Last year, the company sued Unilever, accusing it of silencing statements in support of Palestinians in the Gaza war. It also said it was blocked from making a social media post outlining concerns about the second Trump administration. Magnum Ice Cream, owned by Unilever, said it disagrees with Greenfield's perspective, but it's, quote, focused on carrying forward the legacy of peace, love, and ice cream of this iconic, much-loved brand.
Everything seems to be clicking for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. They're going for their 7th straight win tonight.
Base hit into left field. And Ernie Clement is rounding third and on his way in to score the go-ahead run.
Toronto beat the Rays 6-5 in Tampa last night. The two teams square off again tonight in the third game of their series. Kevin Gausman gets the start for the Jays, who lead the American League East by 5 games. And from the diamond to the rink, the Toronto Maple Leafs open their training camp today.
The on-ice sessions don't start until tomorrow, but today players and coaches were looking farther ahead to the upcoming season. CTV's Sean Leithong reports.
Thanks for joining us today. The start of another Leafs season comes with talk about who isn't here.
What excites me is I don't have to hear Core 4 anymore. Hopefully I don't have to hear it from you guys the whole season.
After 9 seasons in blue and white, All-Star and Toronto native Mitch Marner leaving the team for Las Vegas.
You know, you're teammates, you're also friends, and he'll be a friend of all of ours for life. So, you know, those are always tough conversations to have.
I mean, guys leave all the time, and I mean, Mitch was a polarizing guy because of how talented he was. But, you know, for us, it's onward.
Following the Leafs' loss to the Florida Panthers in 7 games, Brendan Shanahan was let go from his job as team president.
You definitely take it personal because at the end of the day it means we didn't accomplish what our goals were.
With expectations for this team still very high, Coach Craig Berube says winning when it matters most is a top priority.
You come to Toronto in a big game at home, it's a lot of pressure. We all know that, but we got to all be able to deal with it better than we did.
At the end of last season, GM Brad Treliving famously said that the team needs to change its DNA. Today, that means some jobs are open.
If you can help us win, if you're 20 or 35, we don't really care what your birth certificate says.
With Marner out, in are players like Mateus Michelli and Nicholas Waugh. There's also a chance for Max Domi to move up to the team's top line.
Matthew Nyes scores!
And on top of that, with the new long-term contract, Matthew Nyes is expected to build on a stellar last season, as will William Nylander, who has emerged as a perennial all-star. But the process of finding out where each of those players fit starts tomorrow with the first on-ice workouts. Sean Leithong, CTV News.
A U.S. museum is out with its annual shortlist of potential finalists to join the National Toy Hall of Fame, and there are some surprises. The list is compiled each year by the Strong National Museum of Play, and this time around, snow is one of the options up for the honor. Referring to snowball fights, organizers describe the substance as a mostly harmless projectile that provides endless fun. Other finalists include board games, Trivial Pursuit, Connect 4, and Catan, as well as spirograph, scooters, slime, Tickle Me Elbow, Furby, and cornhole. The public can vote for their favorites, and a panel of judges will decide which will be inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame in November.
Just ahead, the art of nature. A new exhibit dives into the natural life around us here in the city and its healing powers.
Tonight, navigating tough financial times.
I had to double my withdrawal from my RSP to be able just to cover the mortgage.
What a rate cut means for Canadians and future financial forecasts. We'll have that and more later on CTV National News.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
New exhibit at Cedar Ridge Creative Center in Scarborough is shining a light on local wildlife.
The artist behind the work exploring how the connection to nature helped him heal. CTV's Jessica Smith reports.
It doesn't look like it should be
getting up close with plants, animals, and arthropods.
Nature has always been my inspiration through my art growth, and part of my return to the art world.
Nathan Cole is the current artist in residence at the Cedar Ridge Creative Center in Scarborough. His work shines a light on the connections to the wilderness that surrounds us every day and the personal connection to his art and his own mental health journey.
And I realized nature was providing a lot of the healing that I needed to do from it. And just being out in nature and really tuning into my senses helped me heal.
The mixed material exhibition includes wood carvings, sculptures, watercolor, and a technique called scratchboard.
It's a masonite board covered in a white clay layer and black ink, and then I take metal quills, sometimes X-Acto knives or tattoo needles, and scratch away the surface gradually.
Etching away at the idea of connecting to the wild through art with nature and animals captured from here at home and around the world.
Just kind of encouraging us to get out and explore and really create a sustainable landscape in Toronto and in Canada.
Nature's diversity around us, rewilding through art, is free to attend. It will be here at the Cedar Ridge Creative Center through to September 24th. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
And let that exhibit inspire you to get out and explore nature, and in particular because the weather we are having is just beautiful.
Yeah, and it's going to cooperate again tomorrow for the most part. Another hot day. In fact, probably our hottest day of the week will be tomorrow. Here's your school day forecast. So yeah, it's going to be a sunny start to the day. Might see an increase in cloud cover, even a quick passing shower a possibility. But once again, our forecast daytime high is 27 degrees, feeling into the 30s. Look at the cool down for Friday and into Saturday. So that's a bit of a change, but condition-wise, looks like we're going to remain consistently with a mix of sun and cloud. Fall officially arrives on Monday afternoon at 2:19 p.m. This is also known as the autumnal equinox. And that day we do have a chance of showers, but temperature-wise, it looks like the summertime heat is going to continue for at least the first couple of days of fall officially. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Well, how about that? Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sechedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.